Now, from Wish TV, your local news source, this is All Indiana Politics.
Good Sunday morning. Welcome to another edition of All Indiana Politics. I'm Phil Sanchez. Congressman Jim Banks is vacating his Northeast Indiana seat in the U.S. House to run for Senate. The renames will appear on the ballot: Republican Marlin Stutzman, Democrat Kiley Adolph, and Libertarian Jared Lancaster. We invited all three candidates to appear on our show. Adolph and Lancaster accepted. Stutzman's campaign did not respond to multiple requests for an interview. We begin with Kiley Adolph.
You know, my why for running is simple, and that's people. And I've really made it my life's work to serve people and empower communities. So I wanted to take that same commitment to people and communities to this space, which we need it now here more than ever.
For our viewers who aren't familiar with your background, tell us a little bit about Kiley Adolph.
Sure. I am a granddaughter of a farmer and a factory worker, the daughter of a state trooper and a secretary. I'm a proud daughter of Steuben County, so up in Northeast Indiana. Bearing witness to service and sacrifice and the value of community really propelled me to pursue a career focused on those things. So I started my career teaching in the inner city. From there, I went to become a vice president of a national nonprofit. I've also had the honor and opportunity of being a professor, where I was able to teach leaders from all over the world, leaders in nonprofit and for-profit, leaders in law enforcement and government, and leaders in the military. So I've always held this life, made it my life's work to serve people and empower communities.
What are some of the issues most important to you?
So it's been interesting traveling around the district, and there are some common themes that continue to come up when we talk with voters. You know, we've been everywhere from Fremont to Fort Wayne, Huntington to Hartford City. So our district is in Northeast Indiana, and some of those common themes, those common issues are healthcare, the economy, education, and rights. And when people are talking about healthcare, they're talking about access and affordability to care. When people are talking about the economy, they're talking about access to good jobs, being able to earn a living wage and afford housing. When people are talking about education, they're talking about wanting their child to have a high quality public education. And when we're sitting down with people and they're bringing up rights, they're talking about labor and economic equity, and they're also talking reproductive rights and the importance of addressing that this election year.
When you looked at the landscape of all that is going on in Indiana, what made you want to jump into and try to land this seat?
You know, I don't necessarily think it's one thing. I think it's a lot of things that came together to make me say, okay, let's jump in and let's do this and let's continue to serve people. Like I mentioned, you know, the entirety of my career has really been focused on that, just in different spaces and places, serving people and empowering communities. And a lot of it just came down to having those conversations at the kitchen table and realizing the issues that are affecting both our lives, our families' lives, and our neighbors' lives. And it was time for someone to step up and give that a voice. So that's really what led me to this space.
Specifically in this district, what do you think needs to change?
Well, first and foremost, the district needs a representative who actually shows up for them and who actually sits down and listens to the issues that are affecting them and their lives and their communities. I think first and foremost, we have to have a representative who's willing to do the work of and for the people. And then we have to start tackling those issues that are affecting everyday lives and stop politicizing the issues and actually sit down and problem solve and get to the root of these issues, whether that's access and affordability of care, whether that's access to housing, whether that's, you know, the economy or education or rights. We have to sit down, regardless of political ideology, and start having these conversations and start having this dialogue about the issues that are impacting lives and start to create solutions to address those issues.
When you talk to voters, specifically in this district, what do they tell you? What do they want to see?
A multitude of things, yeah. Right? It's been interesting the number of places that we've been where people have said thank you. Thank you for showing up, because no one has in years. So I think first and foremost, if you embark on a journey like this, you have to be willing to show up for people and to serve people. So I think they want to see more of the people who are in government to actually show up and have conversations with them and to remind them that they're there to serve them. This is what this is about. This is the beauty of living in a democracy, is we can elect officials who can serve us and who can empower us and who can make our communities better. So more than anything, they want someone to show up. And they also want someone to understand the issues that are affecting their everyday lives. You know, I grew up in a working middle class family, and we understood what it meant to struggle. We understood what it meant to succeed. So having someone who understands those issues that are affecting lives, whether it's, you know, affordability and accessibility in the different aspects of our lives and society.
Do you think Jim Banks dropped the ball there?
I think there's room for improvement, for sure. And that's based on feedback from the voters, where they're saying thank you for showing up because no one else has.
Yeah. So that being said, you know, he was pretty successful when it came to election time. So how do you plan to fight that? Obviously, he's not running, but you're up against an establishment in this district. So how do you plan to fight that?
Well, first and foremost, we have to get people to turn out. We have to get people voting. We're 50th in voter turnout in the United States. So that's a big issue in and of itself. And so much of that is about voter access and information, and just sharing with them the issues at hand, sharing with them who's on the ballot, sharing with them, you know, here's where you can vote, here are the times in which you can vote. So first and foremost, we have to get people to the polls. And then also sitting down and having these conversations with people, again, regardless of political ideology, and just say, you know, unfortunately, as soon as you say I'm a Republican or a Democrat, there's this automatic divisiveness. But at the end of the day, we all want what's best for our communities. So the more we can sit down and build a bigger table and say everyone is welcome, let's have those conversations. We're not going to agree on everything, and that's beautiful and that's okay, because that's part of living in a democracy, but at least let's start having that dialogue and having those conversations. So I think it has to begin there. It has to say, everyone, let's come to the table and have these conversations regardless of where you are politically, and then we have to get people to turn out to vote. We're 50th in voter turnout, so we have a voter apathy problem in Indiana. So being able to address that is going to be key for all races throughout the state.
All right, coming up, we hear from the Libertarian candidate for the 3rd District, Jared Lancaster. Welcome back. We continue our coverage of the race for Indiana's 3rd Congressional District with Libertarian Jared Lancaster. He's a first-time candidate who works in the medical device field. He sat down with our government reporter, Garrett Berquist, and as a reminder, Republican candidate Marlin Stutzman did not respond to multiple requests for an interview.
And joining us now is the Libertarian candidate for the 3rd Congressional District, Jarrad Lancaster. Jared, thanks for coming in today.
Thank you for having me.
Why are you running for Congress?
Wow, there's a long story. One of the main reasons, or I guess what got me involved in the politics, was when we hit COVID, and believing in the bodily sovereignty, I was involved with the convoys that went to D.C. in 2021. I was one of the original founders of the American Freedom Convoy to D.C., and we sent convoys to D.C. And basically from there, I was invited to speak at the Capitol in Wisconsin about the convoys, but they were working election integrity. We got into some election integrity things, mainly Wisconsin and Arizona was kind of my main focus. And then at that point, Mr. Banks said that he was going to run for Senate instead of Congress, and it was a deal where it was, if not me, who, and if not now, when.
So the economy is playing a big role in this election, especially inflation and the cost of housing. What's your plan to deal with those two issues?
You know, I think that one of the biggest players that we have for inflation right now is really a lot of the omnibus bills that we are just printing endless money. We have everything going on with Ukraine. We have everything going on with Israel. And from a libertarian standpoint, we don't believe that we should be involved in those situations. So, you know, I would not be voting to send any money to either one of those conflicts.
So, but going back to the issue of government spending, so basically you blame government spending for the inflation situation?
I think that plays a huge part. I mean, it's not just the spending, it's the printing of the endless money that drives that inflation as well.
The southern border and immigration are also major topics this time around. What's your plan for dealing with the situation at the southern border?
You know, unfortunately, I think that when everybody hears to secure the border, they hear close the border. And I don't think that that's the situation at all. I don't think that we need to close the border, but I do believe that we need to secure the border. But I think that we need to find a way to actually streamline our immigration system. It's ridiculous that it takes somebody that is seeking to have a better life within the United States 12 years and thousands of dollars in fees to be able to become a legal citizen. I think that we need to streamline that and that will allow actually more numbers within immigration in, and if we do it correctly, it will allow the people that are already citizens some safety within vetting, so we don't have the concerns that that the right seems to be concerned about, and it satisfies more or less really what the left is concerned about as far as the immigration numbers.
Our national debt is now at $35 trillion and climbing. What's your plan to bring it down?
With any luck, Trump will come out and say, you know what, I'll just raise you, let's get rid of the income tax, and let's just go to a flat sales tax, because with that, the American people win. It's still taxation, but the right complains that the rich aren't taxed enough, so that takes care of that flat tax. And the left says that the rich aren't taxed enough. That takes care of that with a flat sales tax. And then also we have on the immigration side of it, we're paying our tax dollars on the immigration side of it, and we have the undocumented people that don't pay into our tax system. So with a flat sales tax, that would take care of that too. Satisfies the right, satisfies the left. So I think that, and along with that, then we could greatly reduce the number of people that we have within the IRS, which is also going to save the taxpayers money.
We've talked a lot about national level policy issues so far. What's one thing that's specific to the 3rd District you'd like to work on if you're elected?
So, and it kind of drives back to national policy, but we have a lot of things going on in the 3rd District right now. One with green energy, and that's the taxpayers' dollars that's footing that bill. So, you know, at the federal level, I don't think that the taxpayers should be footing that bill for the green energy. If these green energy companies can come in and they can do these things without the subsidies, then I'm all for them. But for the taxpayers to have to foot that bill, I don't believe that they should have to. So another thing that I would like to do too, especially when it comes to fire, police, and EMS, is because I am a retired volunteer firefighter, I would like to be able to place somebody within my office, within the 3rd District, that can help these departments write grants to be able to seek money that is there.
All right. Coming up here in the show, Indiana's best political team cuts through the spin on Indy's spinning problem. All right, welcome back to All Indiana Politics as we welcome in 2 members of Indiana's best political team, Democrat Lara Beck and Republican Mario Massillamany. Good to see you both. Let's begin with some local politics today. The city of Indianapolis wants to seize vehicles used in spinning and street takeovers. An ordinance to do so is moving very quickly. Mario, you're the former prosecutor here. How effective would this ordinance be?
I think the key component of this ordinance is the fact that they're going to be seizing the vehicle and taking it for 30 days. Until these people are penalized, they're going to keep on committing this bad behavior. I wish that the fines and the penalties were a little higher, that the tow fee, I understand, they need to make the every day that it sits in the tow yard to be a higher penalty, because then once it starts hurting people's pocketbooks, then they will take this more seriously. But I do agree with the part of the ordinance where their car or vehicle could be towed and impounded for 30 days. I think that is a true deterrent from allowing these people to basically block streets and to cause all sorts of issues within the city of Indianapolis.
I think it makes sense. Lara, it seems like you do as well. And related to that, Lara, and I'll let you respond, but also the head of the local police union wants state police to help IMPD respond to these street takeovers as well as crime in general.
Well, I mean, I think going back to the street takeovers, I think one thing I wanted to definitely say is that I appreciate the fact that the city county council moved so quickly on this. This is really something that we have got to put an end to, that we've got to stop, and I appreciate everything law enforcement particularly has done in this process to make sure that we take the cars away, we raise the fines, we do all the things we need to do. From a personal note, at least a couple of those locations are not far from where I live, and what really irritates me so incredibly much is that not only is there reckless driving, but this is happening when kids are coming home from football games, when parents are bringing their kids home from things. You've got seniors coming home, you've got folks coming home from work, and it is literally disruptive to these neighborhoods, and it is criminal activity. And so I think I agree with Mario. I think the penalties need to be stronger on all fronts on it. Related to the head of the FOP union's call to have the state police come in, I think that's something that the city government folks, IMPD, law enforcement partners can identify and work out to do that. I do know that the budget process is going through for the city, and I do know that public safety receives, in many cases, the majority of those funds. Yeah. So I think we have to let them figure out at that level how to make that happen.
Yeah. Switching to state politics now, guys. School principals told the legislative panel last week that the new chronic absenteeism law has raised awareness, but getting parents to work with them on attendance meetings has been difficult, they say. Lara, educators, and you're the public relations person here, so educators at the hearing blamed some of this on bad habits from the pandemic. Are there some more effective ways for schools to communicate the need to stay in school?
Well, I think it's schools, but I think it's everybody else as well, right? And so I think one of the things that came out of that conversation is that schools are going to need some more resources, right? You're going to need some more funds to put behind staff members because you're taking them away from something else. I do think that in any case, you are going to have some parents who don't either A, see the value of education, B, don't want to fight with their kids. There may be other issues that are affecting that home, and that might be a parent who's absent and a child who's taking care of their other children, of the other children in the home and working. Either way, I don't think we can put it all on the school. I think it has to be on everyone else. And in this case, I could see there being a real need for a public information campaign that is really targeted to people, but uses a whole host of different spokespeople and surrogates to help get that message out. At the end of the day, though, parents have to send their kids to school, and that's your job as a parent. And I'll let Mario be the hardliner on this, because I just kind of know what he's going to say.
We're all parents on this panel, so I think we can all agree. Mario, I will let you respond, though, but have the initial efforts to reduce chronic absenteeism been too focused on punishment, in your opinion?
I don't think so. Because as the end of Laura's statement was that we need to make sure that parents understand the importance of having their kids go to school. And that is the key. The schools can do their part. The federal government, state government, and local government can try and do their part. But at the end of the day, it's the parents' responsibility to make sure that their children are going to school. Yeah. In Hamilton County and some of the other sort of suburban counties, they have started actually filing charges against people that are basically not sending their kids to school and don't have any excuse for it. And so until we start penalizing these parents, and not just penalizing these parents, but also making sure that the public is aware that local governments are going to penalize these people, that's the only way that these people are going to say, hey, I understand that if I don't send my kid to school, I could have a
Hey, quickly, guys, I'm sorry to interrupt, Mario. I just want to get your thoughts. I have a minute left, less than a minute, on the governor's debate that's coming up here on Wish TV this week. What are you looking for? 30 seconds to you, Mario.
To be honest with you, it's not going to matter. Braun is going to win this. The key for him is to do no harm, right? Don't have a Richard Murdoch moment. So to basically, at this point, he's on cruise control.
Lara?
Do no harm is what I would tell his campaign.
Go ahead, Lara.
I think that debates do matter because of Richard Murdoch. And I think that we're going to see a very striking contrast between the two candidates and their campaigns, the running mates, and the platforms they're doing. It'll be really interesting to see how Jennifer McCormick does stack up against Mike Braun, simply because he's been in the Senate so long and is a seasoned debater. So I think it will matter, simply because of Richard Murdoch and Donald Trump.
All right, well, we'll see what happens there. Thursday night right here on Wish TV. Good to see you both. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you. We'll be right back.
Thanks.
Thank you for joining us for All Indiana Politics. We'll be back here next Sunday morning, as always, at 9:30. And remember, tune in this Thursday, October 3rd at 6 p.m. for our live televised debate in the race for governor. Have a great rest of your weekend.